Next, we're looking at composite functions. Be sure to review the steps on how to evaluate composite functions on the previous page. Your homework and these guided notes are not going to require you to simplify the composite functions. So let's go ahead and perform a composite function. So this is f of g of x, which we can rewrite as f of g of x. Those two things have the exact same meaning. So let's forget about the f for a moment. What is g of x? G of x is 2x plus 3. So I'm going to replace the g of x inside with 2x plus 3. Now we've seen problems like this in lesson 1. We simply take our f of x and replace all x's with what is inside these parentheses. So I will go ahead and do that. So instead of the x, we have 2x plus 3 minus 5 at the end. And that's as far as you are required to go with these problems. Now we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to take g of f of x. What is f of x? 4x minus 5. So instead of the f of x, we're replacing it with what f of x is equal to, that 4x minus 5. And again, we're now at a lesson 1 type problem, where we take g of x and replace all of our x's with what is inside the parentheses. So we have 2 times 4x minus 5 plus 3. And that's as far as you're required to go. Now don't get f of g of x mixed up with f times g of x. These are two different types of problems. When it's an open circle like this, it means it's a composite function. When it's a closed circle or a dot like this one, we're multiplying the two functions together. So I'm going to take my f of x and multiply it by the g of x. Don't want to actually write g of x there. I want to write what g of x actually is. Again, we're not required to simplify, so this is a perfectly acceptable answer. Let's look at a more complicated problem, like problem part 2. We're going to take f of g of negative 3. So we're going to rewrite it, f of g of negative 3. What is g of negative 3? I'm going to calculate that in red. G of negative 3 is equal to 3 times negative 3 plus 2, which is a negative 9 plus 2, or a negative 7. So that's what we're going to put in for g of negative 3. So now we have f of negative 7. So we'll plug negative 7 into our function. Make sure it's in parentheses when you square it. Negative 7 squared is 49. Minus 4 gives us 45 as our answer. F of 2. I'm going to rewrite that. You can make a composite function with the function itself. This is definitely possible. So I'm going to figure out what f of 2 is. So I'm going to take my 2 in parentheses and square it and subtract 4. And we get 0. So now I'm going to put the 0 because f of 2 is equal to 0. I'm plugging that in for f of 2. Zero squared minus 4 gives us a negative 4. And that is our answer. In our last one, we have g of f of negative 1, which again I'm going to rewrite. So in my red ink, I'm going to figure out what f of negative 1 is. So I'm plugging negative 1 in parentheses, in for x, and I get negative 3. So now I'm going to stick negative 3 in for g. G of negative 3 is 3 times negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 9 plus 2, which gives us a negative 7, which is our answer.